In an unexpected bout of good news, amid a seemingly endless cascade of horrific events, the NSA spying program, which has infringed upon the rights of Americans for so long, has been ruled unlawful and unconstitutional by the U.S. Court of Appeals. Edward Snowden is today vindicated, the man who exposed the extent to which NSA was using its spying program to spy on ordinary American citizens. The ACLU has touted this as a great victory for individual privacy rights, and indeed it is. It is a great thing that for once we see an instance in which the U.S. courts appear to be on the side of individual rights and civil liberties. Something I have been feeling for a long time is lacking, both in the judiciary and in the American public. Now, I had to hear this largely from blogs and vlogs from the conservative side. Not too much being talked about on the progressive side of things involving this. Of course, the more sensible people, such as Jimmy Dore, will probably go to town on it, and as he should. But this should be a top headline in the public minds of all of us. It would seem to me that individual liberties, especially civil liberties, don't seem all that important to most Americans. Today, Americans sacrifice, or are willing to sacrifice, their liberties for the sake of security, whether it's for fighting the virus at all costs, and I am all for reasonable COVID-19 restrictions. I am talking about the mentality in which people believe we should fight the virus at any cost, including that of ripping our economy apart and expanding the mass surveillance state. On the right-wing side of that, conservatives are obsessed with safety from perceived threats by either immigrants or minorities or anyone who doesn't otherwise agree with their bubbled-in values. The old adage goes that those who are willing to give up liberty for security deserve neither. And indeed, the more we have given up our liberties the past 2 decades since the onset of the 9/11 era, the more we have seen that we haven't gotten either liberty or security from the results. The NSA spying and mass surveillance state was many years in the making, and it is very unfortunate to have to point out that mainstream Democrats, aka fake liberals, have had their part in pushing this forth. Of course, the conservatives and the Republicans would like to forget, and they'd like you to forget, that they were very much in support of these measures in the post-9/11 world when Bush brought them about, when Bush was telling everybody about their virtues. I remember when the Bush Republicans were all for the mass surveillance on the public, using the phrase, that ignorant as all get out phrase, that you have nothing to worry about unless you have nothing to hide. For shame that they would now use their conservative amnesia to forget that they were on the wrong side of history. Don't be on the wrong side of history yourself as a progressive. This is a huge deal, and it is a great win for anybody who doesn't want mass surveillance and the erosion of privacy. As we continue onward, dealing with Trump's assault on democratic cities in the form of threatening defunding, threatening sending federal agents in to stir up chaos, we have to remember that civil liberties have to be paramount in any free society. That means that we can't think we have to fight COVID at all costs. There has to be some preservation of liberty. Conservatives can't be obsessed with their safety at all costs. They have to understand that they have to share the American society with multitudes of people who don't belong to the same groups they belong to. We need to push our leaders. We need to bombard them with awareness that we don't want the mass surveillance state to continue. We want our privacy. We want our liberties, regardless of what side of the spectrum we fall on. Edward Snowden should be pardoned. He should be allowed to come back into the United States without fear of prosecution for doing the truly heroic deed of exposing this crime against our individual liberties and against the American public. Thank you for joining me today, and I would hope that you bask in this great news and have yourself something for me to enjoy your evening with. Maybe a nice glass of wine, maybe a great meal, something to celebrate, because we are going through a time in which most of the news is bad, but once in a while we get good news on the side. Till next time, this is Trip. Stay safe, stay sane.